Hello world, what's up? It's your man Perry. We're gonna talk about secrets of black wealth or secrets of wealth. Not necessarily black wealth, but mainly kind of the disparity between um, black wealth and white wealth in America, and kind of what some of the issues are and how we fix them. Okay, so was doing some researching, doing some studying, um, and a lot of people have an idea of how to become financially independent, to become financially wealthy. Um, but a lot of times we lack the tools, we lack the resources, we lack the practical things that can help us achieve a level of financial independence that we want to be at. A lot of people, a lot of times we'll look at our Caucasian counterparts and think like, man, like this person works a regular job like I do, or this person, owns a small business like I do, or whatever. Why are they doing so much better than I am? Why are their kids having a better start than mine are? Different things like that. And so, there's a couple things we're gonna hit, and I'm gonna give you some real statistics, some real facts to go along with these things, and hopefully, there's some things that we can start putting into practice. This is stuff that some of it is stuff that I've known, some of it is stuff that I've learned. Either way, it's stuff that I'm implementing in my own personal life so that I can change the course of how things are going to be for my kids. I'm a single dad of five, six total, um, and so I want them to have a much better start, as I'm sure most of you do, have a much better start than I did, and I think that should be the going drive behind us as parents and what we do, to make sure that our kids have a better start than we did, and so that we can enjoy a comfortable life too. So one of the biggest things, or probably the most important thing in creating a situation that's going to be lasting through our generations, is ownership. You have to own something. I'm not talking about a car. I'm not even talking about your house. That's a different conversation, in and of itself. Renting versus owning. But I'm not even talking about your house right now. What I'm talking about is you have to own a machine that can generate income, um, whether it be passively or actively. You have to own a business. And this is no knock to anybody who works a regular job. I work a regular job. I sell security systems. So shout out to anybody in the Atlanta area who may need a home or business security system. Holla at your boy. But I'm not knocking anybody who owns who works a 9 to 5. I'm not knocking anybody who does any sort of multi-level marketing or anything like that. I've done those things myself. But if you don't own what you do, at any point when something doesn't work for the owner of what that thing is, they can rip that out from under you. When you own your business, there's nobody who can stop your business but you. Okay. Um, so that's the most important thing, is you have to get to a point where you figure out what is it that I'm good at, what is it that I'm capable of producing for people, whether it be a service or a product, and how can I do that for myself? Okay, how can I be the owner of that process? And we're going to talk about starting a business and owning a business and all that at a different time. But for me, that's step one. Um, One of the things that I was looking at and reading about the last few days is, if you look at the median household income, I'm sorry, not household income, the median household net worth for white Americans right now is $265,000. That's talking about your assets, We're not talking about, excuse me, we're not just talking about income. We're talking about assets. So we're talking about stocks. We're talking about retirement accounts. We're talking about real estate. Anything that is an asset. For those who don't know what an asset is something that can add value to your net worth, whether that be something that can generate income, or something that holds value that does not depreciate. So, give me a second to get out of my tunnel. So, your car is not an asset. The house that you live in is not an asset. Those things cannot bring you income. They do not. I won't say your house doesn't appreciate in value, but as long as you live in it, it's not making you any money. So that's what I mean by assets. So, median net worth of white families in America is 265 grand. The median net worth of black families, black households in America is $28,000. I'm going to say it again. The median net worth of white families in America, white households in America, is $265,000. The median net worth of black families, black non-Hispanic families, is $28,000. These are real numbers that you can look up. So already there's a major, major, major gap in the net worth of households. And that is primarily because as black people, we don't own any assets. We don't. Um, so one of the assets that I was looking at that I noticed kind of sets the trajectory for a white household is something that we've joked about in the past, but it holds to be true. We call people trust fund babies, people who their family has left them something, left them some money to get started out, or uh, some property to get started out, or whatever the case. But primarily among white American families, white American households, they have trust funds. And there's other things too that we'll get in at a different time, but today we're going to talk about trust funds. All right. So if you understand the issue here, it's not that black families don't have the same resources. It's not that we don't have the money. It's what we do with it. So in our community, unfortunately, we piss away a lot of money to things that really don't matter. And we're not able to pass down anything to the next generation. So we're going to do some math here. All right. So the black dollar in America is worth 1.3 billion, I'm sorry, trillion dollars. All right. 1.3 trillion dollars every year is black buying power. What we spend money that we spend as a culture. $1.3 trillion. Dollars. All right. So you take that $1.3 trillion dollars and you take the number of black families in America. Now, as of I think 2016, there was 42 million black people in America. All right, 42 million black people in America. Let's just say that on average, there's 4 people per household. Okay, this could be a mixture of things because you got to take into account single family households, which we have the highest rate of single family households on the planet. So let's just say 4 people per household. All right, 4 people per household comes out to about 10.5 million households represented for black families in America. About 10.5 million households represented for black families in America. And if you equally divide, I know it's not an equal thing because there are wealthier, middle class, lower class, all that good stuff, but just for S's and G's, we're going to equally divide that $1.3 trillion. Comes out to about $128,000. I'm sorry, $124,000. $124,000 per household. So if we take these hypothetical situations, just assuming that all money is distributed equally among these 10.5 million black households across America, if the median net worth of black households in America is $28,000, $28,000, but we're spending $124,000 per household a year. That means we're spending 100 grand more that could be going toward our net worth, which could dramatically decrease that gap, that wealth gap. You're talking about almost $200,000 between white families and black families right now in America, where we could significantly, if we were taking more of our dollars and putting them into assets that could be passed down, or could that be reproduced? Could they be reproduced into more assets or to more income generators? Income generators are assets as well. If we took more of our money, that $124,000, 128, whatever it is, we could dramatically close the wealth gap and make it a more level playing field. Okay, because what that would in turn do is decrease some of the numbers on the side of white families in America. And I don't have anything against the way white families do things, or white people in general. And if you know me, then you know that. Um, my goal is simply just to educate us so that we can be more self-sufficient as well, like every other culture on the planet. So one of those major things is trust funds. Okay. So if you don't know what a trust fund is, a trust fund is not a will. A will does not replace a trust fund. A trust fund does not replace a will. In fact, if you have a trust fund, you need a will too, um, because there's certain things that trust funds do that wills don't, and vice versa. So, trust fund, there are several different types of trust funds, but the purpose of a trust fund is to have a fund or a machine that has beneficiaries that in the event of something, whether it be a death, excuse me, or whether it be um, some action like a person hit a certain age or complete certain requirements or whatever, they gain control, they transfer control of whatever assets or whatever property is in that fund. All right. So trust funds are able to hold several different things, whether it be income, whether it be real estate, different things like that. And so it's not just limited to a person dying and then saying, okay, I want my money split 14 different ways. Um, a trust is more private than a will as well, and you can handle them differently depending on the situation. Okay. Now, I'm going to put in the notes some very specific information about trusts and how we can get to the point where we can start our own trust. Now, there's oftentimes, depending on what bank you go through, there's not a minimum to start a trust. Okay, you just have to go through the appropriate legal documentation, which is something that you can do on your own. So you have to figure out first what kind of trust. You have charitable trust, you have irrevocable trust, you have revocable trust, you have family trust, individual trust, um, and a couple different more. So you really have to decide what your situation is, figure out what kind of trust is going to be the best fit for you. You have trust that the beneficiaries can touch when they hit a certain age, or you have trust that can go toward a college tuition, um, different things like that. So you have to decide, do some research, figure out what kind of trust is going to work best for you, and then go from there. Once you do that, then you have to draw up an application. Or I'm sorry, not an application, but a document that outlines the trust that you selected, the type of trust. You have to figure out who your beneficiaries are, if there's any rules that you want to set to the trust, and then you have to pick what's going to fund it. What is going to fund your trust? Is it going to be something that's income bearing? Will it be the money that you make from your small business? Will it be the money that you make from your job? Will you be making, you know, distributions to from your paycheck or whatever to be able to put money into that trust? Is it going to be real estate? Let's say you own a couple rental properties. Your rental properties might transfer ownership of those into your trust, so that once you're gone or whatever, they're included in that trust and they transfer to whoever your beneficiaries are, whatever the case may be. So fill out that document. Now, I'm going to strongly advise, if you have the means to do so, um, do this with a lawyer so that you make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. But there's enough literature out there to teach you how to do it yourself and do it right. But don't just jump out there and do it. Take your time. Make sure you know what you're doing. Aside from that, once you have that document, then you have to go and file that document with the court so it can legally be established as a trust. Once you do that, then you can go to a bank, open the trust fund bank account, um, and then transfer your assets into there. And then you can keep that going for however long you want or however long, uh, whatever the terms of your trust are. From there, my thing is, once you have a trust established, now you have a machine that can be passed down to your kids. Now you can start setting them up, and you can go as crazy with that as you want to. You can start setting them up to succeed, to have a better start than you did, even if you never put anything more than $10,000 in that trust. Okay. And they're supposed to get that $10,000 when they go to college or whatever, they graduate high school. It'll be $10,000 more than you started with. So there's no right or wrong end. Okay. The the goal is do something. Do something different to get a different result. Okay. So again, think about business ownership first. Think about business ownership, and then start looking into what kind of trust you want to establish. Again, a trust does not replace a will. You still need a will. However, if you have a trust, you can generally bypass the probate process when you die, which can be a lengthy and expensive process. So your family doesn't have to go through probate to figure out where all of your stuff goes. So you can have some very specific instructions or some very specific rules when it comes to your trust that you can't necessarily have with a will. Okay. So after you make your trust, my next suggestion would probably be to go ahead and get a will done. It doesn't take much to do a will, honestly. It really doesn't, especially if you don't have a ton of assets yet. Um, I would say do it before you have a complicated situation when it comes to assets and all that stuff. That way, as you start building up your wealth portfolio, your wealth catalog, your resources, then you can just go back and modify when you need to. Okay. But definitely starting out, think about owning something that's going to be able to bring you money. Preferably, in my opinion, you want to do something that you can scale. Okay. You never want to be stuck in the same position that's only keeping you in a self-employed category. Get to the point where you can scale your business. So think about things and think about creative ways to be able to make money and to scale a business. Okay. Um, get your trust established. Again, excuse me. Again, I'm going to put some different things to look for, some different notes in the description of the video to be able to look for, and then get your own literature. Get your own literature. Do your reading. Do your research. There's videos out there. There's tons of videos out there that can give you information about how to build a trust, about how to build wealth. And start reading different books. Read books about wealth. Read books about how to create generational wealth. Okay. Aside from that, if you have me on social media, feel free to reach out and ask me questions. Anything I don't know, I will do my best to try to find out. And then on the next video, we're going to talk about the business side. We're going to talk about starting the business. We're going to talk about how to figure out what it is that you want to do, and what you want to do, and how to do it creatively, how to create a unique niche, and then making it be something that you can scale. Okay. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, whatever the case, and we'll see you next time.